Bill Grove was born in Brighton, Colorado, December of 1905. By the age of 10, he and his brothers were experimenting with the new rage, radio. The family had moved to Denver, where their father was a newspaperman. Bill graduated from Southside Denver High School in 1922. Bill started his radio and television broadcasting career in 1923. He also received his first amateur first-grade license in 1925. Those experiences and credentials paid off in 1928 when Bill was chosen by AT&T to handle NBC and CBS transmissions in Denver. He moved into KLZ as chief engineer, and with unusually good job security for those times, married his girlfriend Eva Richardson. By 1931, he discovered a new passion: remote broadcasting. He set up KLZ at Cheyenne's Frontier Park to broadcast the Frontier Days Rodeo, and was consulting engineer establishing station KGPX, the Denver police station, and introducing radio-equipped squad cars. Bill equipped his own Ford for the first set. Bill took his wife and son Bill Jr. to San Francisco in 1937 to be chief engineer of radio station KGGC, and subsequently assistant manager of KSAN, where the World's Fair was being built and opened. If that wasn't exciting enough, it was back into the 36 Ford with family and dog to build a radio station in 1940 in Cheyenne, Wyoming. NBC radio station KFBC went on the air Friday night, December 7th, 1940, with Bill Grove as manager and chief engineer, in a ceremony with the governor, mayor, and secretary of state participating. The studio and the offices were located on the mezzanine of the Plains Hotel in the heart of downtown Cheyenne. KFBC had been on the air less than a year when he had the opportunity to set up one of his pet remotes. A fellow had parachuted onto the top of Devil's Tower, and the whole nation was interested in getting him down. KFBC had announcer Larry Bloom on the scene to interview the rescue. Another good remote was at the Cheyenne Airport with famous aviator Roscoe Turner. KFBC covered Cheyenne High School sports and University of Wyoming football and basketball. The great Wyoming Cowboy basketball teams of 1941, 43, 45, and 47 were covered live by KFBC from Kansas City and New York. The broadcast in 43 from Madison Square Garden, where Wyoming won the national championship, was a long-distance first. Bill set up these remotes and many others and often served as engineer himself, either to ensure success or because he loved doing it. World War II found America and Bill wanting to set up radio transmitters on the Pacific Islands, but the government wanted him in Cheyenne, so he started teaching evening classes in radio broadcast engineering to create a supply of engineers for the military and to replace those drafted. As manager of KFBC, he originated numerous remote and in-studio broadcasts supporting recruitment, the Red Cross, war bond drives, and the Civil Defense Agency. Bill's son remembers the exercises at Fort Warren where a machine gun was interviewed, broadcasting the Frontier Days Parade from an Army Waco troop glider, and a war bond studio broadcast with Bing Crosby and Phil Silvers. The best was Bill and Eva driving the KFBC truck and interviewing the crowds celebrating the surrender of Japan. Bill was convinced the post-war years would be great for radio. He supervised the building of KRAL in Rollins, KVRS in Rock Springs, and KSID in Sidney, Nebraska. Bill would broadcast baseball games recreated in the KFBC Plains Hotel studio and distributed up to 65 stations. Larry Beleffi described the equipment used for the recreation as a system that should have been saved for the Smithsonian Institution. It had 4 turntables with discs of actual sound recorded in the ballparks. One foot pedal would bring up the sound of cheers and the peanut and popcorn peddlers, and the other pedal would bring up the booze. Bill's experience during World War II of having to hire emergency licensed kids and ladies to operate the KFBC transmitter prompted him to create the technology that allowed radio station transmitter sites to operate without an engineer present and gain government approval for use. For a hobby, Bill conceived the practical 26MC remote pickup broadcast system, which could be built from then easily and cheaply obtained surplus World War II tank radio equipment. He gave the design away free by publishing the instructions, but also offered to build and test a system for a fee. The design was well tested before going public. One set mounted in the KFBC station wagon, the other in the trunk of his personal sedan. His son remembers him working at night surrounded by an oscilloscope and other instruments, shaving crystals to obtain exactly the correct frequency. Bill soon moved on to television. The FCC granted a license to KFBC television in January of 1953, and Bill immediately ordered the equipment and helped select a site for the studio and transmitter. Thousands of people anxiously awaited the Cheyenne station's March 22nd opening date. They were eager to view the first snow-free picture on television sets, which have been in their homes for a year or more. The station had become KYCU-TV Channel 5 by its 25th anniversary in 1979. For a time, Bill fought the prospect of cable television, hurting the smaller TV stations, but soon accepted cable's inevitability. Frontier Broadcasting's cable color vision started service April of 1969 with Bill as executive vice president. Frontier was the first operating cable firm to order a satellite ground receiving station. Bill would frequently monitor the performance of the cable even at night at home with the rig he built. It consisted of a bank of Sony TVs, one for each of several stations he could pick up with a very tall antenna, and one for the small cable output that subscribers received. Bill received numerous honors during his career and served on boards and committees of the NAB, the Radio and Television Broadcasters, and the board of directors of CBS television affiliates and Cheyenne newspapers. He knew the icons of the business, like Bill Paley of CBS, on a first-name basis. Everyone who worked with Bill Grove remembers him for his engineering skills and his ability to turn junk into functional equipment. He was eulogized in a column by Larry Belleffi on July 3, 1994. Ironically, he was better known on Madison Avenue than he was at home. With more plaques than Sergeant York, you never saw any of them. He led a private life in his hometown. There is one thing that Bill proved to us. Whether you're a contractor, a lawyer, a salesman, or a surgeon, you don't have to be in New York or LA or Rochester to be absolutely successful and the best at what you do. The Wyoming Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame is proud to induct Bill Grove.